Hello there, beautiful people. This is Sheelaa Bajaj. I'm a life coach, a motivational speaker, and an author. And I've authored a book called The Love Mirage. And this episode is episode number 7. And I thought we should talk about how to get over pain in general in life, and how to get over pain in relationships, how to get over any kind of a setback, and how to bounce back. Now, a lot of times we've gone through bad situations, maybe a relationship, and then there's a cycle of pain when you've lost it. So losing something or someone is something very difficult to deal with. It's something that a lot of people deal with, like betrayal in a relationship, losing a loved one, the pain of maybe just accepting some reality. Maybe your partner cheated on you. Maybe you lost a parent. Maybe you lost a relationship. Maybe you had a breakup, or you lost a job. Now, pain, whether it is something that you are prepared for, or whether you have the strength, or whether you are strong, not strong, pain is inevitable for most people. Now, everyone has a different way of handling pain. Some people crumble, some people go through a rebellious phase where they fight back, where they just become angry, or some people get really some people, they also get extremely vengeful. Some people, their personality changes. So everyone has a very different approach to pain. And I'm going to say that how we react to pain also depends on how we've, it's sort of like a survival skill. Dealing with pain is something we do for survival. So a lot of times people will get into, like, if you've been through a breakup, you'll go through probably a rebound relationship. Some people, if they've lost a job, they become extremely vengeful, they become depressed. So everyone has a different way of dealing with it. And it's very important to understand whatever way you choose is really a choice that you make of dealing with pain. And I'm going to say that when you go through something that's a setback, I'm going to say that everyone in their life goes through a setback, including Sheelaa Bajaj. All right. I have gone through failures in life. I have fallen flat on my face. So I'm going to say that this episode should be dealing with failure, really, not so much dealing with pain, because losing a relationship, losing someone is really about a failure, and that's what we are trying to grieve, and that's what we're trying to deal with. So everyone has a different way of dealing with it, and everyone has a different approach to failure. To some people, they feel like they've lost. Like, I'm done, I'm dead. So some people will go to the extreme, and some people will get angry, agitated. But failure is something that everyone goes through at some point or the other in their life. Whether it's a failure in a relationship, failure as a parent. And if you look at failure as a word or as a concept, it's so judgmental. It's because you have a standard of what you think should be. Like, for example, losing a job is just not acceptable because, my God, I should be in a job, and losing a job means I'm no good. It always means something. Like, losing a relationship means I'm no good. There's something odd about me. There's something pathetic about me. Or someone dumping you, someone betraying you means I'm less. I'm going to tell everyone, like, I have been through failure. Like, I was almost kicked out of art school. Okay. Like, I chose to walk away with dignity and in a dignified manner, but I flunked. Like, I flunked miserably in art school. And I was given a choice to flunk 2 years, like take a 2-year back because the college had some stupid policy, or I was given a choice to leave. And I chose to walk away, but I had failed. And it was because I didn't meet their standards. So who decides these standards? Like, see, in a regular college, you have grades and you have marks and you have all of that. But with art and design, there's no real standard there. But I was pathetic and that's a different subject. I was really pathetic at what I did. All right. But I was judged on some kind of a scale. And I think the scale exists in the whole universe. Like, there's a standard. So if you don't meet that standard, you're a failure. And who sets these standards and these bars? Like, who decides you to be a failure? So there's a standard or a set rule for a marriage or a relationship. And if you don't meet that standard, you're a failure. Like, if your kids don't get these grades, then you're a failure parent. And if your marriage does not have this, and this, then you have a failed marriage. So we're constantly judging ourselves based on some idea that someone else has set. And who are these people who have set it? Like, everyone's going through some crap in their life and everyone's possibly a failure. But there is some weird, unrealistic standard that is set. I don't know if it's movies. I don't know if it is these fantasy books. I don't know if it is some kind of a, if it's television, if it is pictures, if it's the internet, if it's social media. Like now it is social media because people judge their marriage and their relationship based on what other people post. Like everyone's happy on Facebook, right? I'm going to say all the people who post these really crazy, yummy, cozy, and I don't know, like these mushy pictures on Facebook, there's something going on there for sure. Because, you only want to prove the opposite of what you're functioning from. Every time you go out of your way to show something, it's not that. So when you see someone going out of their way to like post something that's, so picture perfect in their life, guess what? It's just not that. We only want to prove the opposite. Like, have you heard people talk about how they're so honest and so generous and, like integrity is number one. Like, I am such an honest person and for me, I'm so God-fearing and honesty. Like, oh my God, I have seen these same people function from so much of, I don't even have a word for it. Like, they just function from this level of politics that I have never seen. Like, they can be the most political people around. And people who talk about perfect relationships are the ones who probably have, the most messed up reality. So this standard of failure and is something that comes from a lot of judgment, that comes from a bar that we set in life. That comes from, like, even parents are constantly judging their children and saying, okay, I'm a good parent if my kid accomplished this, this and this. And how much pressure is that on people? How much are we throttling people in our life and ourselves and our marriage and our careers by doing this? So what is this failure? This failure is not living up to that specific standard that someone set or you set. And some society or some rule book, some screwed up person somewhere decided this. Like, really, I want to find that person and I don't know, maybe make them vaporize. Because the people who, like, I know of people who are depressed, I know of people who are sad, I know of people who go through so much turbulence and so much of self-hatred because they can never live up to someone's standard. Like, I know of children who can never live up to their parents' standard. Like, their parents want them to be this, this and this, or they wanted a son and they didn't have a son, or they have a son but they wanted their daughter to be a son. Like, you can never make people happy. And how much of cruelty is that to people when you want them to live up to a certain standard, or you feel they're not intelligent enough or not well read enough. So how do people deal with failure? So the first thing, if you're dealing with some kind of a judgment of some standard like this, if you're going through this, okay, if the person who's listening, I'm talking to you, if you're going through this and you're wondering, there are all these people who have set these standards, you've got to understand that this person who set the standard is missing. They're absconding somewhere, darling. Like, they're somewhere else in some planet hiding from Sheelaa. Because if I find them, I'm not going to spare them. All right. So this person's missing and everyone has this thing that they're keeping up to. There's some kind of we all got to keep up to this level. It's time for you to break that level and not care a damn about what people think. You've got to live your truth. And so first, you need to begin with stop judging yourself and not branding yourself as a failure just because you lost your job. I mean, maybe you were just really unhappy and the person just got that vibe and maybe he liberated you to find something better. So you've really got to focus on, what's really right about this failure that I'm not looking at. Like a marriage falling apart, all right? A relationship falling apart. I've been through a really, really nasty, bad failure relationship. Like, to most people, that was a failure. Like, I've been through a divorce. And to most people, that was a relationship or a marriage going bad or a failed marriage. But I don't think that was a failure because it didn't live up to probably some standard that someone said. But that marriage or that separation liberated me to be who I am today, a better version of myself. So a failure is only a failure till you believe it is a failure. Till you believe that this is right and I didn't match up to the standard, so I'm a failure. You have to let that go. This addiction and this idea or this this thought and feeling, or this, this attachment you have to this judgment of what's right or what's perfect, you have to let go of that first. You have to let go of that perfect idea, not just for yourself, for other people, for your kids, for everyone around. You have to just take the rule book and chuck it and create your own rule book, I guess, or have no rule book. What if people could just function from freedom? All right, so I'm going to give you guys a few examples, all right? Like someone looks at probably they didn't get a promotion as a failure. It is what it is. Now, you didn't get a promotion maybe because there's no reason, or there are better people to do the job, or maybe you're just not meant to do that higher thing that is there. And a lot of times, like, we look at that as a failure of us, but maybe there's something better that you might enjoy doing, and you just hate your job, or you're just doing the same thing for many, many years, and maybe you're meant for something bigger and better. Like, if I didn't get that point when I was, when I failed art school, if I hadn't failed, I wouldn't have searched for more. I wouldn't have searched or found what I'm really good at. So a lot of times I think it takes falling flat on your face, and it's the universe's way of also telling you, forget it. Like, this is not your thing. So it might seem in the moment very hurtful, but I know of people who got fired from their job and were very, very miserable only to go and create their own business. And they came and thanked me for it. Like, I remember them weeping one moment when they told me that Sheelaa got fired. And the next, I don't know, after a few months telling me, like, I have my own business now. Or I started a startup. So a failure is only a failure till you allow it to be that. But if you look at that event as, okay, now what's next? What is the universe trying to tell me? Is there something bigger that I'm not seeing? And to me, like, that marriage falling apart was not a failure. To me, that marriage being over was freedom and liberation. Like, being in an abusive marriage was definitely a clip my wings. But after it ended, it was a chance for me to look at myself and say, oh my God, like, this is a new birth for me. This is a new rebirth. Who am I today? What am I going to create my life to from here on? So I never speak from a pedestal. Anyone who ever knows me, like anyone who's ever got like a personal one-on-one session with me, or anyone who's ever done, or on my group, or anyone who's ever interacted with me will always tell you that I never speak from a pedestal. Like, I never like speak from, okay, I'm judging everyone. Okay, I know more about life, and all of you need to like follow me. I've walked my talk. I have been through failures, and like how many, fallen flat on my face, picked myself up and said, okay, what next? So I think it just takes moving your focus from what didn't work. You lift your head up, you look up at what is new, because when something falls apart, instead of trying to fix it, like sometimes you have to fix it. You have no choice but to sit and fix it. Like, if something in my current business doesn't work, I'm going to try and find new creative ways to solve it. I'm not going to look at it as a failure. So I think it's all about perspective. It's all about your mindset, and that program behind has to change. So, like, instead of going into a rabbit hole and playing victim, you want to ask yourself, what do I love about this pathetic feeling of feeling like, everything's going wrong with me. Like, being the victim of feeling sorry for myself, or am I asking for sympathy? And what do I love about this feeling? Like, what do I enjoy about the sympathy? Or do I love sympathy? Is that why I'm going into this rabbit hole? And really, what are you going to achieve by being in this rabbit hole and hoping for sympathy to come your way? Is that creating your life? I mean, if it is giving you a way forward, I would say have fun with it, knock yourself out, and have a ball with it. Like, anything that's fun, Sheelaa's always saying go for it, all right? But if that playing victim or playing the poor thing, if that role is not helping you, and if that role is not creating your life, I'm going to say snap out of it, get over with it. Like, cry for 5 minutes if you really want, if you want to get all those tears out of your eyes and all out of your tear glands. Like, just get it over with, and then say, okay, now, next, what am I looking at? Like, when my marriage fell apart, right? Like, I didn't even take the weekend off to cry. And I realized much, much later, I said, oh my God, I should have at least taken 2 days to cry it out. But I didn't, I forgot. And I think I was just like a horse with blinders looking at my work and my kid. And I had these 2 things to look at. And I wasn't a victim. I wasn't pathetic. I don't know. I just never put myself in that mode. I owe it all probably to my mindset. I've always, and I think I'm all constantly in that mode, right? I only get people who are thinking negative, and I'm constantly on a mode of like telling them to think optimistically. So I'm constantly on that mode. So for me, it's like an automatic thing. It was a switch. I'm always on that switch of looking at what's working, or what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Like my mind and my creative brain, like even though that creative brain didn't really help me in art school, I think it works in creating my business because I'm constantly on creation mode. Like I can never be happy with just the same thing every day. Like I have to create new avenues, new things in my life, whether it's reaching out to people, my book, shows, or my radio show, or this podcast. Like I have to keep creating, otherwise I'll shrivel up and die. So you have to focus on what is your motivation. You have to focus on what is it that creates your life. Because if you are going to focus on what failed, that's it. That's done. So it's really a mindset change. And start probably, mentoring people in some sort of way. Like, I don't know, maybe just like listen to all of these podcasts and see if you can give all of this wisdom and this gyan to other people. Maybe it will make you switch into that mode. When you have to start mentoring people, you have to be in that mode yourself. I think it's like, teaching math to someone, right? When you start teaching a subject to someone, maybe it also puts you in a different gear and like you understand it better. So I don't know, whatever works to creating your life and dealing with failure, that's if it is failure or getting out of pain, because choosing to be in pain and sadness is just a choice. Like choosing to go down that rabbit hole is a choice. And what would it be like if you said, okay, I'm going to give myself a timeout moment to like grieve, cry, do my trauma drama, do all of that natak and all of that crazy thing. I'm going to go through this roller coaster of drama for like a day or 2 days, or take the weekend off, or take like a week off and say, I'm going to cry for the whole week. Like 7 days, I'm going to cry. I'm going to weep every day, 24/7. So weep as long as you want, but then say, okay, after that, okay, I'm going to create something else. I'm going to create my life from there on, and see where that takes you. See if that opens up a whole new world of possibility. So I'm just going to recap what we did today. We dealt with what is pain and how to deal with pain. And really, what is pain? It is because of failure. And then we have a definition of failure. So who creates this definition of failure? It is society, people, us. And there's someone who's hiding in some planet whom we don't know, who created that definition of what is perfect, whether it's a marriage or whether it's betrayal. So dealing with whatever's gone, there's probably a new door that's opened somewhere which you aren't seeing. So open it, look at it, and see it's opened a whole new world of adventure for you. So if something fell apart, if a career fell apart, look at maybe business, that maybe there's a new door of business or opportunity that's opened up for you. Don't limit yourself and try to go back into the same rabbit hole. And ask yourself, what do I love about being a victim? What do I love about things not working for me? Oh, poor me. Do I like the sympathy? And what am I getting out of sympathy? Now, I hope this episode helped you like all the others. If you haven't listened to the other ones, please go back and listen to 1 through 6. And, each one takes you through a different part of your journey. If this helped you, I'd love to hear from you. Comment on it, review this, and share it with your friends. Most importantly, pay it forward. Like, there are lots of people in your life who are probably functioning from this failure and, who want to be the drama queen, and who are functioning from this, oh my God, I want sympathy. And probably when they listen to this, they get perspective. They start looking at new doors opening, and maybe life for you will get easier. So maybe you have a partner or a friend or someone in your life, your parent, who's functioning from this sympathy mode. And maybe sharing this audio with them will open their universe. And in turn, it changes yours. So pay it forward, guys. Share it on your social medias. Share it wherever you can. And please send me a comment and tell me what this created in your life. I'd love to hear from you. And for those of you who want clarity with relationships, go ahead and read my book. It's available on Amazon. It's called The Love Mirage. And it gives you, it actually works on finer nuances of relationships and understanding concepts of love, compromise, and why we do all of that twisted stuff. For now, this is Sheelaa Bajaj signing off. And I hope this podcast created and opened a new door of possibility for you.